I'm 77 years old, and living alone is a brutal truth nobody talks about. The silence in my house got so loud I thought it would swallow me whole. I'm recording this because I found a way out of it, a way I never expected. Let me tell you what happened. It started at a lecture on birds at the community center. I just went for the air conditioning. A man sat next to me. When they showed a picture of a hawk, he leaned over. Saw one take a squirrel last week, he whispered. Brutal efficiency. His name was Harold. We got terrible coffee after. He talked about his wife, Margaret, who died. He said, the quiet is the worst part, isn't it? I just nodded. I couldn't speak. Here was someone who understood. We started meeting every Wednesday at the diner. Same booth. We'd complain about the coffee first. Then we could talk about real things. He told me about Margaret's long illness. I told him about my wife, Eleanor. She died of a heart attack. It was so sudden. We didn't give advice. We just listened. It was a relief. We were building a bridge, you see, very slowly. One day I invited him over. He stood in my living room doorway. It's a time capsule, he said. He was right. Eleanor's things were everywhere. We sat. He pointed to a photo of me and Eleanor when we were young. You looked happy, he said. And you know, for the first time, I felt happy remembering. I didn't just feel sad. He saw me, not just the old man I am now. Then he didn't show up at the diner. I got a cold feeling. I called him. His daughter answered. Harold had a stroke. He fell in his bathroom. He was in the rehab place on Maple Street. I was scared. Not just for him, for me. That bridge we built felt so fragile. I went to see him. The place smelled like cleaner and bad food. He was in a wheelchair. One side of his face didn't work right. He tried to talk, but the words were stuck. He looked so frustrated. I just pulled a chair close. I helped him drink some water when his hand shook. That simple thing changed everything. I wasn't just a friend visiting. He needed me, and I needed to be needed. I visited all the time. One day he was struggling to speak. He gripped my hand. You, house, too big, he said. Then clearer, so is mine. I knew what he meant. We were both alone in houses meant for two. And then he gave me the idea, a crazy idea. What if we didn't live alone? What if we lived together? It wasn't about being in love. It was about not being lonely. It was about survival. We made a plan, a ledger of what we could each do. I could cook and drive. He was getting stronger. We decided to try it. He came to my house from the rehab. The first week was messy. We dropped things. We misunderstood each other. But the house had noise in it again, real noise. I helped him with his exercises. We argued about the TV volume. We watched old movies. We became a family, our own strange kind of family. Having him here made me brave. I finally went into my bedroom, Eleanor's room, which I'd kept closed for years. I didn't empty it. I kept some of her things. I boxed others for my daughter. I made space for me, for now. I told Harold. He said, Margaret's china is in my garage. We understood. We weren't leaving them behind. We were making room to carry them with us. So here's the truth. I'm 77. Living alone is brutal, but it doesn't have to be the only way. Look for the other people like you. Be brave. Admit you're lonely. Make a new plan. Break the silence before it breaks you. Harold and I did. And you know what? It worked. For a while. We had a system. Mornings were for Harold's exercises. Afternoons, we'd sit on the porch if it was nice. We'd watch the birds. He'd point with his good hand. Robin, he'd say, or Cardinal. His words were coming back, slow but sure. I'd make us lunch, simple things, soup and sandwiches. It felt normal. It felt like a life. I stopped thinking about the silence so much because it was gone, replaced by the sound of the kettle boiling, of Hal's careful footsteps, of the TV news we'd argue about. I thought we'd beaten it. I really did. Then one Tuesday, he was quiet at breakfast. He just pushed his eggs around the plate. "You okay, Harold?" I asked. He looked up and his eyes were scared. "I don't feel right," he said. His words were slurring again, just a little. A cold hand gripped my heart. I knew that look. I'd seen it in Eleanor's eyes right before. "Where?" I said, trying to keep my voice calm. He just touched his chest. That's all it took, one touch. The fear was back, bigger than before. I called 911. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely hold the phone. The ambulance came, lights flashing silently. They took him. I followed in my car, my mind blank with a terror I hadn't felt since Eleanor. In the emergency room, they told me it was another stroke, worse this time. His daughter Linda arrived, her face pale. We sat in those awful plastic chairs. She looked at me and said, "He told me you were helping him. Thank you." But her voice was distant, formal. A doctor came out. He used words like deficits and long-term care. He looked at Linda, not at me. I was just a friend. I had no legal standing, no family. The bridge was burning and I couldn't put it out. They moved him to a different facility, one for long-term rehabilitation. It was farther away. I visited the first day. Hal could barely speak at all now. He could squeeze my hand. His eyes were full of a terrible understanding. He knew. I knew. This was it. The life we built for a few short months was over. I drove home to the empty house. It wasn't just quiet now. It was dead. The silence felt like a punishment. I sat in my chair and I looked at Harold's empty seat by the window. I had let myself believe we could fix it. I had let myself be happy. And it hurt more than the first loneliness because now I knew exactly what I was missing. I didn't go back to the diner. I stopped answering the phone. I just sat. I realized the brutal truth wasn't about living alone. It was about hope. Letting yourself hope and then having it taken away. That's what breaks you. I had rearranged my life, and life had just rearranged it right back. I was 77. Harold was broken. And I was alone again, but this time I was alone with the ghost of a possibility. That's so much heavier. That ghost sat with me for a long time, weeks. I'd look at his empty chair and feel a bitterness I hadn't known I was capable of. I'd built a railing and the whole cliff had crumbled away beneath it. What was the point? But here's what that heavy silence finally taught me. I was wrong. I was wrong about what we built, and I was wrong about what was taken. I thought the point was the arrangement, the shared roof, the system. I thought the success was in the cohabitation. That was the mistake. The success wasn't in the living together. It was in the connecting. That bridge we built from opposite sides of the canyon, it didn't vanish when he moved to the new facility. It was still there. I had just stopped walking on it because the destination had changed. Looking back now, I see it. The gift Harold gave me wasn't a permanent roommate. It was the proof that I could still connect deeply and meaningfully to another human soul. That I wasn't just a ghost in my own story. For those few months, we pulled each other back into the world. We made each other necessary. And necessity, I learned, is a form of love. It's not the romantic love I had with Eleanor or the familial love with Sarah. It's a tougher, quieter love. It's the love of showing up, of making soft eggs, of sitting in a room that smells of antiseptic and not running from the frustration in a friend's eyes. That love doesn't get invalidated because circumstances change. It gets proven. I proved I could still do it. He proved he could still accept it. That knowledge can't be taken by any stroke. So here's my advice, for what it's worth from a bruised old man. Don't wait for a perfect, permanent solution. That's a fairy tale for the young. Our time isn't for fairy tales. It's for clear-eyed, practical courage. Don't look for someone to fill all the silences forever. Look for someone to share one silence with right now, this Wednesday. Go to the community center, the library, the park bench. And when you see another person sitting a little too still, staring a little too long at nothing, say hello. Talk about the weather, the birds, the terrible coffee. It's not a performance. You don't have to be okay. In fact, don't be. The magic happens in the admission. The quiet is hard today, you might say. See what happens. Build your bridge one plank at a time, but build it without demanding a guarantee of where it leads. The building is the point. The sharing of the load, however temporary, is the victory. You still have time. Maybe not decades, maybe not even years, but you have now. And now is enough to not be alone in. Now is enough to look at a photograph and feel warmth instead of just pain, because you told someone about the person in it. Now is enough to need someone and to let them need you back. That's the hope. It's not a hope for a happy ending in a storybook sense. It's the hope for a real, messy, human connection before the story ends. It's the hope that you won't fade in silence, but in the echo of a conversation you were brave enough to start. This recording, it's my last plank. I'm throwing it out to you. If this quiet confession of mine meant anything, if it echoed in your own quiet house, then do something simple for me. Don't let it end here. Press that like button. It's a silly little thing, I know, but it's a signal. It tells the machines to show this to another person who might need to hear it. Hit subscribe. It means the next time I find a piece of wisdom in this mess, or the next time someone like Harold has a story that needs telling, you'll be there to hear it. Turn on notifications so it doesn't get lost in the noise. But most importantly, go down to the comments. Don't just write great video. Tell me your story. Tell me one memory you're holding on to. Tell me one thing you missed the most. Or just say the quiet is hard today. Let's start a conversation there in that little box. A conversation against the quiet. And if you're not ready to comment, then share this. Share it with one person you think might be sitting in their own silence.